Good morning, everybody. I would like to thank the entire team and Mr. Pluto for gathering here this morning to discuss the functional behavior assessment and the behavior intervention plan for Pluto. Thank you for taking the time. First, I would like to begin with introducing myself. I am Kasia Stashik, Pluto's guidance counselor. I'll just go around the room and introduce everybody. This is Donald Duck here, Pluto's teacher. Mr. Pluto, Pluto's father. Goofy, Pluto's psychologist. Mickey Mouse, Pluto's special education teacher. And Daisy Duck, Pluto's social worker. Thank you everyone again for coming. So I will be going over the functional behavior assessment and behavior intervention plan that we all created for Pluto today. And I will be in charge of making sure that the meeting runs smoothly. If you have any if you'd like to provide any input during the meeting, please feel free to do so. And let's begin. So I'd like to start off the meeting with Pluto's strengths according to the team members, his parents, and myself. Pluto is enthusiastic and hardworking throughout the school day. He has the ability to follow directions during instruction when it is related to a task, activity, assignment that he enjoys. He enjoys participating in activities with another peer or small group. He is eager to speak during group discussions. The operational definition of the target behavior that we all created is that Pluto becomes physically aggressive. In other words, shoving, pushing, slapping, kicking, punching, or throwing objects toward peers or adults every day in all settings throughout the school day to the extent that he causes harm to others. He averages 1 incident of physical aggression per period or 6 incidents of physical aggression per day. The behaviors last anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes and ends with Pluto being warned by the teacher, separated at least 10 feet or further from peers, or removed from the classroom. The intensity of the physical aggression ranges from mild, which means placing hands on others gently or pushing others without harming them, to intense, where he causes intense physical harm onto others, pushes someone to the floor, or kicks someone in the face. Some non-examples of target behavior include Pluto verbally expressing his anger toward peers and adults, Pluto displaying physical aggression toward objects without causing harm to peers or adults, or Pluto being in control of group activities or discussions when chosen to be the group leader. The setting in which the behavior occurs is that it occurs throughout the entire school day in all settings: classroom, lunchroom, recess, hallway, restroom, computer lab, gym class, library. It occurs every day when peers, teachers, or school staff members are present, and the behavior occurs with at least one person being present. The antecedents that preceded the target behaviors that Pluto becomes physically aggressive when the teacher assigns a task, activity, assignment that is not congruent with what he wants. Pluto becomes physically aggressive when peers do not obey his request within 5 seconds. The consequences or the result of the target behavior, meaning what Pluto gets as a payoff, is that he attempts to have control of his preferred task, activity, assignment in the classroom. He is able to direct others' behavior or the circumstances. The environmental variables that may affect the behavior is that Pluto gets a sufficient amount of sleep. He has no variation in weather. He does not take any medication and regularly eats a healthy diet. He becomes physically aggressive toward peers and adults when he has no control over his peers and when teachers' requests are not congruent with what he wants. The hypothesis that we all created is that Pluto engages in his target behavior that I just defined because he does this in order to be in control of his preferred task, activity, assignment, and his peers. Going on to the behavior intervention plan, again, just to go over his strengths again, he is enthusiastic and hardworking throughout the school day. He has the ability to follow directions during instruction when it is related to a task, activity, assignment that he enjoys. He enjoys participating in activities with another peer or small group. He is eager to speak during group discussions. We clearly clarified that the target behavior may be otherwise known under as a skill deficit instead of a performance deficit. And again, non-examples would include that Pluto verbally expresses his anger toward peers and adults. Pluto displays physical aggression toward objects without causing harm to peers or adults. Or Pluto is in control of group activities or discussions when chosen to be the group leader. Again, the hypothesis that I just discussed, is that Pluto engages in his target behavior in order to be in control of his preferred task, activity, assignment, and his peers. The previous interventions that were attempted are: first, Tier 1 interventions include Pluto's seat has been rearranged multiple times. Pluto receives breaks during instruction. Pluto has been warned by teachers, separated from peers, and removed from the classroom. And Tier 2 interventions include Pluto receives weekly services from me, his school counselor, to help him control his anger. Going on, the replacement behaviors to meet the identified function of the target behavior include: Pluto will interact and participate in activities with peers without being in control of more than one small group activity during a class period. If displaying safe behavior, Pluto will receive two options when instructed to complete a task, activity, or assignment, one of which will include Pluto as a role of a student in control, otherwise known as the leader, paper passer, recorder, presenter, or game manager. These will be one of his options. Pluto will be allowed to separate himself in a specific location and take a break anytime during the school day when he begins to feel out of control. The environment or circumstances that will be adjusted, as part of the behavior intervention plan, are that his desk and working area will be located at least 10 feet or further away from peers in every classroom throughout the entire school day. The changes in instructional strategies or curriculum will include that he will be taught how to participate in activities without being in control of more than one small group during a class period. He'll be taught how to recognize his feelings. He will be taught how to politely express his feelings using words instead of physically harming others. And Pluto will be taught how to control his anger by separating himself instead of physically harming others. All the positive supports and additional services needed to address Pluto's identified needs include that he will receive weekly services from, again, myself, to learn different strategies on how to control his anger. He will be provided a safe place in every classroom that he may go to if he chooses to separate himself, and he will work with a paraprofessional throughout the entire school day to ensure that others are safe. Pluto will be reinforced to ensure that replacement behaviors are more motivating than the target behavior with rewards. Since Pluto averages one incident of physical aggression per period, he will be awarded at the end of each period that he displays safe behaviors without doing the target behavior. Pluto will receive a sticker on his daily sticker chart at the end of each period for each period that he does not engage in the target behavior. If he receives 4 or 5 out of 6 stickers by the end of the day, he will be allowed to choose his preferred recess activity for the following day. He may choose the playground, the gym, or the computer lab and invite 3 different classmates along with him. During recess, Pluto will be the group leader and in charge of recess activities or games. The paraprofessional will be responsible for ensuring safety of Pluto and his peers. Pluto will continue to receive this reward for each time he receives 4 or 5 out of 6 stickers on his sticker chart by the end of each school day. If Pluto receives 6 out of 6 stickers on his sticker chart by the end of the day, then he will be assigned classroom leader for the following school day along with his preferred recess activity. The restrictive disciplinary measures that will take place when Pluto performs the target behavior more than one time per period in any given day or intensely harms another peer or adult at any given time, he will be physically removed by a trained staff member, usually the school security guard, from the classroom and isolated to a separate location for 30 minutes. When he is allowed to return back to the classroom, he will work one-on-one with the paraprofessional without any peers for the rest of the school day. In case of an emergency situation or behavior crisis, if Pluto becomes a serious threat, which means intensely using physical aggression behaviors to self, peers, teachers, or staff members, he will be removed from the classroom for the remaining of the school day. Pluto's parents will be notified and administrators will be contacted to employ proper school procedures in emergency situations. The expected outcomes of interventions and the procedures and methods that will prove this plan to be successful. First, Pluto's physical aggression and his safe behavior will be observed and noted by the end of each period by his paraprofessional and his teachers. I will combine the number of physical aggression incidents into one report at the end of each week. And since Pluto averaged 6 incidents per day of physical aggression behaviors that lasted anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes and varied in intensity from mild to intense, the team will meet to check his progress in 6 weeks. The plan will be successful if Pluto reduces his physical aggression to only 2 incidents per day with an intensity of mild without seriously harming peers or adults, which means placing hands on others, pushing another without hurting them. And finally, Mr. and Mrs. Pluto will be informed about the rewards that Pluto receives by displaying appropriate safe behaviors toward peers and adults in the school. I would like Mr. or Mrs. Pluto to check when Pluto comes home every evening to check, sign, and return his daily sticker chart to the school so that we know that you are informed of his behavior each day. And also at the end of every week, again, I will email or call Pluto's parents, whichever you prefer, to report his behavior for the week that I have reported, like I said. Finally, I am done going over the document that we all created, and again, I would like the whole team and Mr. and Mrs. Pluto to meet in 8 weeks to discuss his progress that we've observed. And again, I would like to ask at this time if there's any questions. Please feel free to ask me any questions. Everyone has a document in front of them. Just take a moment to go over anything that was unclear or that you would like to provide some additional input into, and please feel free to address any concerns or questions at this time. Okay, if nobody has any questions right now, I would just like you to know that I'm always available through my email address or the school phone number. Otherwise, you can always just stop by my office if I'm free and we can discuss anything that comes to mind. Again, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Mr. Pluto, for joining us today. And I will see everybody in 8 weeks. Thank you.